Hi everyone! Today I have for you a strong purple lash line look with matching purple blush and a slight purple ombre lip. Mostly nude, but slightly ombre. So if you aren't sure how to wear a strong color, or if you've just been looking for a reason to pick up your electric palette again, because let's be real, who hasn't? Then keep watching. For foundation today, I'm going to try the NARS Luminous All Day Weightless whatever foundation again, which last time I tried it I told you was too yellow for me, and that is still true, obviously. It's not like either of us have changed color. But I am going to mix it with one of the new Makeup Forever primers. This is the Radiant Primer in blue. Makeup Forever had a rep come in and she told me, well, actually she told my coworker, who is also very fair, that if this is too yellow, then mix it with the blue and it should color correct it. So we'll see. NARS says you're supposed to use fingers, but a lot of mornings I'm not up for using fingers when I'm getting ready at 5:30 in the morning, you know? I just want to slap it on and be done. And I feel like I'm faster with brushes, so I'm going to try a little bit of it with a brush and see if I think it actually makes an appreciable difference or if that's just marketing. Honestly, the finish of that with a brush is fine. In terms of color, it is still slightly too yellow, you can tell, but it is much better. I think right now, honestly, it's just too pale, almost. So, I am going to bring what's left on my hand down onto my neck. Then for concealer today, I have the Cover FX concealer in N-XLight Neutral. I'm just trying a little sample of it because I haven't used it before. That's pretty. It's a good color match. I feel like it's actually taking care of my dark circles, which I very rarely feel like. I often feel like concealers that actually cover up my dark circles feel horrible on the skin. So they're not typically concealers that I actually reach for. Concealers that I reach for tend to be lighter, so I always walk away feeling like I still have quite significant dark circles, but this has really dealt with them quite well, and it doesn't feel heavy at all. It's nice. It's really nice. I approve of this so far. And then before I take on anything else, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my brows just so I sort of know what face shape I'm working with today. Because I try to make them the same every day, but let's be real. Can I ever do anything the same twice? Now, moving on to eyes, I honestly probably should have done these before I did my foundation, but I never actually think about that until I'm halfway done with my foundation, so that was silly. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to start with my trusty, handy-dandy Too Faced Shadow Insurance. Yet again, I am still fighting this thing to the death, man. At some point I should really just cut it open and get out what's left in it, but... And then because of what I am planning on doing today with my eyeshadow, I'm going to tap just a little bit of that right under my lower lash line as well. Now this look I do quite heavy on the lower lash line, and to sort of keep that balance so it's not an overall intense smoky look, I'm going to keep most of the eyeshadow up here pretty simple. Which means, honestly, I'm going to do exactly what I have been doing for the last, 3 weeks in my daily life. So it's going to take me about 10 seconds. I'm going to take Makeup Geek Vanilla Bean on a large, fluffy brush, a pretty big one. Just sweep that all over the upper half from the socket line up to the brow bone. Using that same brush, but this time with Creme Brûlée, just above the socket line as a transition shade. And then pulling slightly outward here instead of following the crease downward. So instead of going here, sort of coming out toward the brow bone. Then taking Makeup Geek Shimma on a flat shader brush across the mobile lid. And then Makeup Geek Barcelona Beach on a blending brush right into the crease. And again, pulling it sort of outward at the end of the eye. Gonna run over the top of that with Vanilla Bean one more time just to make sure it is all blended. And if I were just gonna go teach or spend a Saturday downtown or whatever, honestly, at this point, I could just add eyeliner, mascara, and be done. So this is pretty much my go-to eyeshadow right now, but it's pretty easy to make it interesting, and this is how. I'm going to start with Creme Brûlée again on that blending brush, and I'm just going to take it right under the lash line. Very soft. Then I'm going to go in with the Electric palette, which we all loved so much when it came out, and I feel like it has really lost some steam on YouTube, but I had a couple friends over last month, and they were all just raving about it, but talking about how they could never justify buying it because they would never wear a crazy purple entire eyeshadow look. And I was like, well, this is my favorite way to wear color, so let me show you. I'm going to start with Jilted, this sort of more pinky purple, and then I'm going to go in with Urban, which is this darker purple. You don't have to use the... obviously, you don't have to use the Electric palette to do this, but this is a great way to use it. You could do the same thing with some blues or the red and the pink, or honestly, this color, this fringe is gorgeous. So this is one of my favorite ways to wear color. So I'm going to start with a very small flat eyeshadow brush. This is from Bare Essentials. This is the tapered eyeshadow brush. And I'm going to take that Jilted shade, which is the pinker of the purples, and put that just on the tip of the brush and bring that under the eye. The same place that we just put the Creme Brûlée, but closer, not as blended out. And then when I get to the end of the eye, I'm just going to keep pulling it outward. Then I'm going to take a small pencil brush, just a little bit of that same shade, and tap off all of the excess. And I'm going to use this just to blend it out a little bit more. Then over that, I'm going to go back in with this darker purple, this Urban shade, on that same flat brush that I used before, again, just on the very tip. And this time I'm going to keep it even closer to the lash line. I'm really just tapping, not sweeping very much, because this way I get less fallout and it stays more concentrated. And I'm not going as far across as I did before either, maybe just halfway. And that pencil brush and the pinker shade, that Jilted one more time, just to help blend that purple. So my memory card got full and it didn't tell me, and now I'm upset about it because you missed me doing my eyeliner, and for once my eyeliner went really well. So let me just tell you how I did it with this look. You saw me finishing up blending out this eyeshadow. So you know how that worked. And then for the eyeliner, I used the Kat Von D tattoo liner, and I started in the center of the eye here, and then worked my way out and then back in, just staying really close to the lash line, not worrying about the wing at all, just lining the eye itself. And then I came out here, and this is just where that line of eyeshadow was. So I just came out to here and connected it down to the corner of the eye, and then connected the top of that, sort of filled in that triangle, to right about where the outside of my iris is. So I drew the line down, and then I drew the line across and just filled that in and made sure it was smooth. And they're more or less symmetrical, and they're about as dramatic as I would really want them to be. You could make them way bigger if you wanted. You could make them smaller if you wanted and use less eyeshadow down there as well. But this is sort of my comfy spot when it comes to a big wing, so I'm really sorry you missed it. And then, because this is just the order that I do my makeup in, I wait for my eyeliner to dry and just really set before I do my mascara. So to do that, I go back and I finish my skin. Plus, this way I'm not risking like getting powder all up in my mascara, and this is just how I prefer to do it. So I'm sure you've noticed by now. I am using the Cover FX Illuminating powder right now, which I just think is gorgeous. And I'm using that on the Sephora Pro Precision brush, which makes it really easy to get all the way up under your eyes. And this powder actually works pretty well under the eyes, so it's kind of an all-in-one, and this brush makes that really easy to do. So I just tapped that on all over, and definitely used tapping pressing motions so I didn't disturb anything under it. And now that it is on there and starting to set, I will go ahead and just sweep my brush over it so that I don't have too much anywhere. Next, I'm going to go in with blush, and I didn't want to use anything too pink or too peach with this much purple on my eye. Instead, I'm going in with the Radiant Orchid blush from the Color of the Year last year from Sephora Pantone, which is really gorgeous, but it has to be used in the right place, I think. So I'm using it on a really large, fluffy blush brush. I'm tapping off all of the excess because I do not want this to be very heavy at all. And then just starting right on my apples of my cheeks. And then slowly working that outward along the cheekbone. I'm actually going to take my foundation brush and just sweep over that a little bit and see if I can bring it down just a tiny bit. Then I'm going to use the highlight from that same little blush palette, which is really beautiful. Right down the nose. On the Cupid's bow, right above the brow bones. A little bit on the chin. And then, of course, no surprise here, NYX Taupe and the new Sephora Precision Contour Brush. Starting right out by the ear, under the cheekbone. Slowly working your way in. Oh, by the way, this is now just the contour brush. The old contour brush that I used to use, this rounder one, is now called the small blush brush. Just in case you're looking for them. I'm going to take just a little bit of that contour right around the edges of my forehead. And right under my chin as well. And that's the skin done. So now let's go ahead and do the mascara. Of course, I'm going to start by curling. Then I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Full and Soft. And I'm going to concentrate most of the product really close to the lash line and on the outer half of my eye. Because with this strong of a cat eye shape, you want to make sure that your lashes complement that as well. And all that leaves us with is lips. I'm actually going to start with putting just a little bit of that concealer on my lips. I was throwing some stuff out earlier, just kind of going through and doing a little tiny bit of decluttering. So I tried on like 8 different lipsticks, and I feel like my lips are quite ruined right now. They were super bright red, but I got a little bit of foundation on them earlier, but I'm going to put just a little bit of concealer on them too, just to make sure that they are not going to show through. Especially on the edges. I feel like my lips... the color of my lips goes slightly past the shape of my lips, so sometimes it can look really weird. Because I have a lot of color going on already, that's a lot of purple on the eyes, and quite, I mean, it's not a crazy blush, but it is definitely there. So I'm going to keep it quite simple on the lips. I'm just going to go in with Lychee from Bite, which is a pretty light nude. I really like this shade. I'm going to start with that just everywhere. And this could be done for you. That being said, I don't love a lip quite this light, so I'm actually going to put a little bit of Melted Fig over top of it, which is, I don't know if you can see that. It is a really gorgeous shade, but just slightly darker. So I'm going to put that on the back of my hand, just a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to take a flat, rounded brush because this is the first one I found. I found it before my lip brush. This is just a concealer brush. I'm going to sort of do a slight ombre from the outside corner. So that color on its own I think would have been too strong, but mixed into this lighter shade is really beautiful. So there you have it, my finished purple lash line look, which I think is a really great way to start to introduce color to your routine if you are not a strong color sort of wearer. You know, if you wore it with less blush and a less pigmented color, I think it would work really well. I think this is a beautiful way to wear a navy. Oh, I love this look with a navy. So I am a big fan of this sort of look, and even better if you are a glasses wearer. Honestly, once you have on your glasses, most people aren't going to notice unless they care way too much about what kind of makeup you're wearing. So I really, really love this look. I hope that you learned something from it, and I will see you again next time. Bye, guys!